Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I brought with me my regular, 4 meditation books that are falling apart. So I'm gonna get right into this today. What is today's date? The 27th. I'm gonna actually read from The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty first. I love this book so much. The reason I haven't been reading a lot from this book this year is because I read so much from it last year that I didn't want to do a lot of repeats. Okay, let's go in here. July 27th. Let's find it and see what we're talking about today. July 27th, letting go. Stop trying so... I feel like we just talked about this. We did. I think I called one of my meditations or one of my videos something like just let go or something. Anyway, July 27th, letting go. Stop trying so hard to control things. It is not our job to control people, outcomes, circumstances, life. Maybe in the past we couldn't trust and let things happen, but we can now. The way life is unfolding is good. Let it unfold. Stop trying so hard to do better, be more. Who we are and the way we do things is good enough for today. Who we were and the way we did things yesterday was good enough for that day. Ease up on ourselves. Let go. Stop trying so hard. Today I will let go. I will stop trying to control everything. I will stop trying to make myself be and do better. And I will let myself be. You know, it's interesting because I did actually just read about this, and I think it was in this book, and maybe a couple days ago, I read about, I was talking in there about when I had read or listened to one of her cassette tapes that was visual imagery where she talked about floating down the river. You guys remember me talking about that, where she said, you know, just float down with the river of life, just let go, stop trying to control things. You know, whenever I read these, it's just what I think in my gut. Like if I was like talking to Tanya, like my best friend, because like she and I both read from specifically this book a lot. Although we haven't done that in a while. But we'll talk about meditations that we've read that day and things like that. We actually, in our literature book, because our literature reading, every Monday night we have a literature group that we get together on Zoom and we read recovery literature. And we were just talking about prayer and meditation last week, and so I was talking about how much I love, you know, like these little meditation books. I think often when you say like meditation books, people get very confused. You know, they think that like you're doing these deep studies into Zen Buddhism and things like that, you know. But for me, to just read one of these books, and it just gives me kind of a way of some things to think about for the day as I go about my day. But anyway, you know, so as I'm reading it, I'm thinking of things in my head or just things from my gut. If somebody said to you, you are controlling, or you have a need to control things, would you be like, wow, that's probably pretty insightful, I am controlling? Excuse me. Or would you be like, don't talk to me that way. Why are you telling me that I'm controlling, right? And I think for any of us, when people tell us that we're controlling, it's like we don't want to hear that. When the reality is that the majority of us, oh my God, my battery is dying, I can't believe it. Let me change my battery really quick, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So between the last time and now that you just saw me, I literally took like 10 pictures of my belly and the floor and outside because I was just like hitting the camera and I didn't turn it off. And then I put another battery in, and it was it wasn't an old battery, but it was a battery that had no juice in it. So then I had to go to my third battery. I'm like, oh my God. So this is kind of actually, you know, a good example of control in my life. Like these are the things that back in the day, I would have started over the video. It would have been like, I'm just starting over the video. Like it's not perfect, you know, it's not cohesive. And I think that's like, I've let go of all of that. And it's so refreshing, it's so liberating to just let go of that need to always have to be perfect, or, you know, to be in control of like, to make it look perfect. You know, it's like, do you remember, I can remember like when I was growing up, I was never the kid that like drew inside the lines. Well, okay, I'll say this. Like I did my best. I tried my best. I always tried my best to make my stuff look pretty or to make it look good, you know? And I would, you know, if there was grass, I would color it green. If there was a sky, it was blue. You know, I did my best. But then there was always that one girl, and I don't care if she was in first grade or sixth grade, you know, or even a senior in high school, and she just was always so perfect. I mean, I literally in my head can see her right now, you guys. I know her name and everything, right? And I just kind of like had this inner hatred towards her because she was so perfect. It was like she would sit there at her table, you know, and she would be so quiet, and or desk or whatever, and she would just sit there, you know, her perfect little outfit and her perfect little hair, and she'd just sit there and she would color, and then of course the teacher would be like, oh, it's so good, you did such a great job. And I'm like, you know, like, I think that is just such crap. And then I can remember later, you know, like talking to a teacher one time, and she had like on her desks, as if she had multiple desks in her room. At her desk, she had gold stars, green stars, and this was like an elementary school teacher. She had like gold stars, green stars, red stars, blue stars, whatever on her desk. And so when you like completed a paper, she would say, what star do you think that you deserve on it? And she would let you pick whatever color you deserved. And I loved that so much because I was like, well, what color of a star do you think you are, right? Now I'm a gold star. You guys know what that means. That means I have to say this in kind of like an edited way over here on Peterisms. That means that I've never been intimate with a woman. But anyway, but you know, like I think about that, like I would probably like, if blue didn't mean any less, because when you think about that, right, like what do we think those stars mean? Like gold obviously is better than the rest, we think, but does that mean anything? Like if gold had no meaning or no color to it, this video has gone all over the place, I probably would pick blue. Like blue is my favorite color, so I probably pick blue as like a star that would show that I was exemplary. But I think from a very young age, you know, I had this built-in system, you know, whether it was in school or whatever, to like be your best and be perfect and all this kind of stuff, you know, that over time, like also being, I believe, genetically, you know, born an addict and an alcoholic, I had this need to try to like control situations in my life that I had absolutely no control over anyway, you know, growing up in a toxic environment, an alcoholic toxic environment. When you have no control in a toxic and chaotic environment, you start trying to find things to control. And I mean, when you would walk into my bedroom when I was a little kid, every stuffed animal had a name and a place in that room. I mean, it was order in my bedroom. It was order everywhere. You know, and I've been like that for like a really, really long time. It's like even like these plants behind me, you know, like when I take them down to dust up there, like I have to get them back just like a certain way, and if not, like it kind of drives me crazy, but like with the, like OCD behavior. But I'm not as much like that as I used to be because I've really worked on just like letting go of that control and stuff, because in the past it would really drive me crazy. Like it really, really would, you know. One of the things, like people in my life know that I like to always drive, and like my friend Tanya sometimes will, like when I get to her house, she'll be like, okay, I'm driving tonight. I'm like, no, I'll drive, it's totally fine. She's like, no, you need to just experience what it's like to not have control. And I think it's actually a good, you know, a good experience for those of us. You know, this weekend, like when we went to brunch, my husband just got a new car, a beautiful new car, Jeep Wrangler. And he was like, it's nice outside, let me drive. And so we took his car. And you know, like, it's like, at first I'm so resistant to that, you know, of like, I always have to be in the driver's seat, and it's kind of nice to like let somebody else do that. So over time, I've tried to be better at that. Like that's something that I'm still definitely working on, you know? But don't you think it's interesting that like, if you ask yourself, like, am I controlling of things in my life? We would probably answer that question, yes. I mean, I can't think of most people that wouldn't, you know? To some degree, I think that we're all a little bit like that. But if somebody said you're controlling, we would hear that as a negative thing, right? Like, why do we always hear that stuff as negative? Like, instead of it as being like, you know, like if your teacher in math class said, here's a math paper to take home, you wouldn't be like, oh no, not a math paper to take home. I mean, well, maybe I would have been. I would have been like, forget that paper. But no, we wouldn't have been like, I can't believe you just said that to me, a math paper to take home. Are you assuming that I don't know how to do those math papers already? I don't know how to do those? Well, the teacher would say, we've never gone over this in class before. You're going to have to read up on it and learn about it. We've never studied it, so I don't know how you would possibly, oh, I can't believe that you're accusing me of not knowing these things in math. Like, well, how would you know them if you hadn't studied them before? But in life, right, we look at lessons that we haven't learned that way. If somebody says to us, this is a lesson you need to learn, how dare you say that to me? How dare you assume that I don't already know how to be a perfect human being? Well, we don't. Like, we don't. And we then fault ourselves for not being perfect human beings. None of us are perfect, okay? Listen, I'm a work in progress, always will be for the rest of my life. That's why I say, you know, like on my videos, that I believe that like life is like the school that you never graduate from, but when you learn a lesson, you go up to the next grade and you learn a new lesson. You're presented with a new lesson, you know? I'm also a believer, like Dr. Sheree Scott said in the book, If Life Were a Game, These Are the Rules, that lessons are repeated until they are learned. I mean, that is, I've seen that in life, you know? That's why when a big lesson's like right there, learn it, because if not, it's going to continue to come your way over and over and over again. So, you know, like, I think letting go of control is one obstacle to learning those lessons. It isn't even, to me, always necessarily the lesson. Like, I've learned, yes, the lessons about control, and I'm practicing and trying to be better at that. But at the same time, I think breaking down and letting go of that control is like this floodgate where it allows in all of these other lessons. Because once we don't have the need to control things in our lives anymore, then we really are able to learn a lot, you know? Like when you can just kind of relax. And for me, like with my social anxiety and like going to social events and things like that, where I'm always like, who's gonna be there? How many people are gonna be there? How long do we have to stay? What time are we getting there? Because that's all of my like safety stuff. When I can let go of that a little bit, which is really, really difficult for me, when I can let go of that a little bit and try to let go of that control, and that's a lot of self-talk that I have to do, where I have to say things like, you're going to have fun, it's going to be okay, nobody's going to be staring at you, nobody's going to say that you've gained weight, like all that kind of stuff, and if they do, who cares, whatever, right? Like I have to do a lot of self-talk to get there, but when I do and I'm able to let go of all of that, I really enjoy myself. I do, and then I want to continue to go, you know, like, and do those things more and more and more. So I think that, you know, like, control is really important, but we have to address control in our lives. But then I think it's also like when I talk about inventory and evaluation in here, like if you wanted to do like an assignment for the day, a question I'd ask yourself is, or a question that you could ask yourself is, in what areas do I feel like I need to have control? Like, you know, like I was looking down at my shoes today, and it was funny because I'm somebody that back in the day, like my stuff was ordered, right? Like, I mean, it was controlled. And I was looking down and I have like 6 pairs of Birkenstock sandals and they're all just like a mess by my side of the bed. And I was like, yeah, I need to probably organize some of my stuff. Now it's kind of gone to the other way, you know, that I've let go of so much control. I'm like, I don't need to control stuff that much anymore. But I used to be that way, you know, and I still am in some ways, you know, like, you know, like with the driving and stuff like that. So I still have work to do. But I feel like I can live my life freer the more that I don't need to control things in my life. And I think for me, it was always just, you know, preservation. It was safety growing up. That if I could control this small little safe space right here that nobody else could get into, you know, like my safe bed, my stuffed animals and whatever. I mean, I would have like I used to listen to these old time radio tapes and I would have them lined up, you know, on my nightstand and next to my bed, which I just was sitting there, I could see it in my head. I'm like, you had an old office desk. I did, I don't know why, but as a nightstand. But anyway, and I had this tape player thing that had this little TV in it too, like this little TV. And, but anyway, I had all my tapes like lined up like in a row, you know, and I think about that and all my stuffed animals lining, you know, the edges of my bed. And, I don't know, like it always was like, that was my safe space, you know? And, you know, sometimes it's, I think, nice to just let go of that. I remember when Alex and I first got together, or first moved in together, and so like each side of our room, there's like a couch. Like we have like these love seats on either side. And so he has like a laundry basket and then like the couch, and he has like stuff over there, and he would like, the laundry basket would get like high, and you know, he would have like take his clothes off and throw them on the couch. He's really actually very, very orderly. Like his side of the closet looks like a store. Like he has his stuff so, you know, organized. But back then he would like have the, you know, laundry basket. I'd be like, why are this out? Why is that? And he'd be like, can you just let me have my side of the room? And I can remember internally I was like, oh, you know, and then one day I was just like, I looked over there and I was like, yeah, I can let him have all that. Like I can let him have all that. And then I don't have to worry about it. And it was like, you know, now I need to get to my side of the room. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I love you guys and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.